I really think you shouldn't lock yourself in your room all day studying Japanese. Like really where all the fun is when you actually go out and practice. And in my humble opinion, that's really the way I teach the whole Japanese IQ method in my program on this channel and wherever, is to just not be a gooner, like locked in, which really means you're locked inside of your bedroom watching YouTube videos. I'm really against that. I'm really not a big fan of it. I think you should spend as little time as required immersing in Japanese, and right now there are ways to do it, which include a lot of passive listening, a lot of comprehensible input, which really just makes the process way more fun. Like you can go on a long walk around your city, be healthy, get sunlight, and still study Japanese. The biggest issue I had is that I just had to consume content, which is fun, but it's not really fun. What it really is, it's stimulating. It boosts your dopamine artificially. What you really want is the natural dopamine boost, which comes from healthy activities, from real human connection, which I think is the reason why a lot of language learners are really sad, because they do the whole immersion thingy, but then they don't have many friends, they never go out, they say they want to learn Japanese to watch anime. That is just so sad, dude. You're telling me that you spent 2,000 hours watching content just to be able to watch that same content in a different language? Like what? Really? Where's the sense in that? Where does the idea come for you to that this is a good idea, that this is something that you should dedicate your life, your motivation, hard mornings every single day? To do that really doesn't make any sense. So the real method, the Japanese IQ method, which is what I preach here on this channel, is learning the language as fast as possible to the level that makes you able to be comfortable. Hello! Which makes you able to just be here in Japan, have fun, social experiences, really just be here with people, which it's all about. Like language is not here for you to consume more content, like you can already do it in your native language, right? It's for you to be able to connect with different people that you wouldn't be able to connect with otherwise, aside from like an artificial machine like a translator, which really isn't that fun. Of course you can communicate, but really figuring out, doing some expressions in Japanese is where all the fun is. When you actually get something correct, you're able to convey meaning, connect on a deeper level, show vulnerability as well, talk about your worries and listen to the other person's worries, listen to their dreams and talk about your dreams. Very few Japanese people speak English at a level that would make it comfortable for you guys to speak English with them and actually connect on a deeper level. And you cannot change that really. What you really have to do is learn Japanese, do it for them if you want to connect with the Japanese people, learn the language for them, and then you really just a fun experience for them. It's for these people as well. You need to, it really comes from love, where it really comes from, in my opinion. But then what I feel a lot of people will end up doing, if you don't do it the Japanese IQ way, if you do it the traditional immersion way, which is effective. I'm not shitting on the method. Immersion learning, watching YouTube videos, watching anime to learn Japanese is effective for the sole purpose of learning languages. But you're not just learning Japanese to learn the language, you're learning it to connect with people, and that's where not being a loser, a locked at home in your basement content consumer comes in play. Where being the opposite, being a social person, talking to people, striking up random conversations with people, being social even at home, not just in Japan, even at home, talking to a random old guy on a bus stop, talking to the shop clerk, having like a funny conversation, seeing a cute girl and actually having the courage to go and speak to her at home, in your home country, is what you need to do to actually have fun in Japan as well, which I assume is your real goal. Like, it's way more fun here. It's way more fun here than at home for me. Polish girls are beautiful. Polish girls are so hot, dude. But being able to raise a chick in Japanese is a different level of enjoyment and elevates your confidence even more. That's where Japanese IQ, the method that I've kind of constructed myself, that I'm really passionate about, just because of the fact of how much fun I am living the Japanese IQ lifestyle. Which Japanese IQ lifestyle, what it really is learning languages not like a loser, and learning social skills at the same time, for the sole purpose of actually going to that country, going to Japan and being social there, speaking the language, but more importantly having the courage to speak it, not just when you have to, not just at a shop, not just at a bar when you're already comfortable, when you meet up with your Japanese friends, but you see an interesting looking Japanese person and you feel the courage to actually go and speak to them. You see a cute, beautiful girl that you'd like to go on a date with, practice even more Japanese, but then you actually have the courage because you've been training it for months beforehand. You actually have the courage and the language ability to go speak to her, to have that nice conversation, to build a connection with her, to make her attracted to you because you learn the language. You actually learn how to be charismatic in Japanese and not just correct grammatically, which are really quite different things. One doesn't necessarily go with the other. No, they don't. Where being charismatic really comes from is these subtle differences, like the way you speak and not really what you say. So what I believe is the way to learn Japanese without making you a stay-at-home little crooner, without making you a weirdo that cannot speak to people, without making you the stereotypical anime watcher that comes to Japan, is by learning the language outside, purely through listening, which is unconventional. Purely through listening. Of course, you will still do some work at home in front of your PC, but for that it needs to be really optimized. It should be the perfect content where you get the most value from, or the content that you enjoy the most. Apart from that, there are amazing systems right now, which I talked about in Japanese IQ community, my program, which really just made it so simple for you to be able to go on a walk, to go to the gym, plug your headphones in and actually learn the language effectively. Not just listen to a podcast, not just listen to comprehensible input. Actually, you'll be able to do your Anki, to learn vocabulary, to consciously learn, not just passively listen, whilst you're doing other activities, which I think is really cool, which involves AI, which involves ChatGPT, which involves Anki and converting your Anki deck to like an audio file, which then you can do your reviews way faster and you don't need to actually look at the screen. I feel like language learning is solved already, and the next dragon, the next leviathan that you will have encounter after figuring out the method to learn Japanese is actually how to be social in Japan in Japanese. That's where I come into play. That's what my purpose right now really is. That's what all of my projects will be about from now on, and have been really for the longest time. That's what the 2 months that I've spent here in Japan have been all about. Every single day I go out, try to speak to girls, try to speak to new people, make every single mistake possible, learn lessons from these mistakes, not just to fuck up. Of course, the point of making these mistakes is so that I can teach it to you and you can make faster progress than me, which I'm really a G for that, aren't I? I could just be here on my holiday. I go out of my comfort zone, really trying to figure out if this works, if maybe this energy, this way of speaking Japanese will work on that person, maybe it doesn't, maybe it works in a different situation, which I had to figure it out by myself because nobody really teaches it on YouTube. If you're interested in getting help from me, in working with me, in my personal guidance or just learning more from me, Japanese IQ, my school program, community, course, however you wanna call it, is the first link in the description. That's where I put all my advanced esoteric knowledge that wouldn't make sense to put on YouTube. Go check it out. Otherwise, I'll still be making YouTube videos where you can learn for free. Thanks for watching. See ya in Japan.